We're just going to get right to the chase here. We're going to have our interview with Christie Hutcherson again, president, spokesperson, co-founder, or founder of Women Fighting for America. I want you to stay tuned, listen to that interview. Jim and I will be back to review and wrap up the show. She is back. We are so happy to have again on the show Christie Hutcherson. You guys know who she is, but for those just listening, she is the president and spokesperson for Women Fighting for America. We're going to get right into this. The entire show today, folks, is Christie and what's been going on. She just got back from Europe. There's a lot to talk about there. So we want to know what happened there, what's coming up. We want to talk about climate, obviously, and that whole reason why that push is so important to a lot of folks out there, and everything else in between. So, Christie, thank you so much again for coming back to the show. We are super happy to have you again. Cannot wait for this. Where do you want to start? You want to start with your recent trip? Do you want to go into that and where you were?
Good morning, Gail and Jim. Thanks so much for having me.
Good morning.
You know, I have a little jet lag because I literally got off the plane at, I don't know, 1:30 a.m. I don't know what time zone I'm in as of my body clock anyway.
Yeah.
But we have a lot to discuss. And
Sure.
This is going to be a very serious topic today because sounding the alarm, I cannot put this more urgently than ever before. And I know a lot of people are hearing this from a lot of the politicians. You're hearing a lot of noise, so to speak. You're seeing what's going on at our southern borders, our northern borders, which they're really not talking so much about.
Yep.
You're seeing the train loads full of mostly single young adult males.
Yes.
The uptick of, I don't know, I think over 500,000 hit our borders last month alone. By the way, they're lying to you, America. Imagine that. Your government is lying to you about the numbers.
I'm sure that's far higher than what they're letting us know about. It's got to be, right?
Yeah, Dale, it is. You know, I've been on the border, as you know, for over 4 years now. I was probably the first civilian journalist, so to speak. I like to call myself a civilian journalist, but it's certainly not my trade. Being on the borders and reporting, literally, I've driven off full 2,000 miles of borders. I've been to Central South America, Mexico, northern border. I've been to 30 plus states in between, looking and following the transnational criminal organizations, our government agencies, and why they're opening up our borders. Why does this matter? And the narrative that they're giving to you is actually a false narrative. And so it's not about climate migration or, civil unrest or poverty. If you really want to think about that, think about the countries that most of these individuals, mostly males, are coming from. They expect America to stay in their narrow mindset bubble. That's what I call it. They don't go or research further than what you're told on the news secular media for the most part, right?
Correct.
We do get information from organizations and news outlets such as yourself. You've got Right Side Broadcasting. You've got, Lopez, who's down there, and Allie, and all of these different individuals that people are following. And Vandersteel, who's a dear friend of mine, who's now down in Panama, and she's been with Michael Yon doing the trek up. The reason why I've shifted, I'm not down there doing all that stuff because I've been there, done that. Everything that most of these individuals are reporting, I already reported on over 2 years ago that this was coming, that it's here. And so it's very important that they get that message out. But I'm looking and shifting at a more global, national, from a security perspective, military strategy perspective, on what's really going on and the why, and then what we can do to protect our sovereignty, our homes. Dale, most Americans don't engage unless it hits their front door, and it has to hit them on the dead center in the face, right? And so I'm going to explain today how it's hitting you right now, whether you believe it or not, dead center in your face at your front doorstep.
Good. Yeah, that's what we want to get into for sure.
And I can tell you right now, all of my years working in the swamp area, and that's DC, all of my years working with the DOD and the DLA and the Pentagon through my previous life. We owned a consultancy here. For those who don't know, we own a business. It's a consultancy business. The government contracted our company to help solve issues and problems. Do strategy, everything from military strategy to in theater. We helped with the troop drawdown in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
We helped when Pakistan closed their borders. It was our charge to figure out a way to get ONS, operational needs, in and out and through countries, into war zones and out.
Yep.
We've looked at wars on different fronts. We were charged with looking at immigration over 4 years ago, 5 years ago. We had a project with Homeland Security looking at the immigration crisis. So my background and the knowledge that I've acquired through the background and the company that we own and worked with is very unique perspective.
Sure.
Leon Panetta, whether you like him or you don't like him, under the Obama administration, we were handed 4 LEAP awards at the Pentagon by Leon Panetta for our work. Okay. So I don't talk about that much because for numerous reasons, I'm protecting my family.
Right.
But I have a unique lens into what's going on.
Correct.
I'm also a Christian. I stepped down and walked away from everything. I haven't had a salary literally in over 4 years. I've taken my own personal wealth at great cost, at great sacrifice, and at great loss. I've lost a lot, and I'm not going to get into that. But I've gained more than I've lost because I'm fighting for freedom. I'm fighting the next generation. I'm fighting for the children and the children's children who will grow up in an America that does not look like it does even today.
Correct.
And I cannot stress to America, the players on a global stage, they have a plan. They perfected their plan and they're acting out their plan. And make no mistake, there is no secret military. I'm gonna get rid of all of this crazy distractionary fire garbage that's being spewed by people that you trust.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
Right.
I'm not going to throw it and I'm not going to say names because
Correct.
you're going to know who they are.
Right.
Yep.
I want you to start looking at the longevity of information that's been given in this movement. Has that information vetted to be true? Has that information come to fruition in any way, shape, or form in a timeline that they've said it would?
Yeah.
You have to start understanding that there are operatives. This is how the military function. This is how the DOJ, this is how the CIA, this is how the FBI and our weaponization of our systems have worked because they're infiltrated at all levels, typically at the highest level. And then they're pushed down their orders. And very rarely do you see enough brave men and women standing up. They're good ones. There's a lot of good brave men and women in these agencies, but there's a lot of reasons why they stand down. But you are starting to see those break the ranks to sound the alarm because they understand, holy crap, look what we're being told to do. Look what's happening to our nation.
Yep. And you're talking about maybe like whistleblowers coming out, things like that are actually coming public. And so I want to ask you real quick, and Jim, I know you got a question. Sorry to jump in there, but as far as, and then we can go on to your Europe trip and everything that happened. We'll just get into it all. But with those whistleblowers, even then I sit back and I think, is what I'm hearing the truth there? Do I believe what they're saying here? Senate hearings, do any of them ever matter? That kind of thing. So I think that's, when I look at what I think is affecting me every day, besides, economically and border crisis and everything else that's happening, when I sit there and I watch them question these whistleblowers, who are the good guys? Who are not the good guys? It's hard to tell, to be honest with you.
Joe, actually, it's really not if you listen, if you hone in. Listen to the questions that are being asked. If they're hard hitting questions that make the whistleblower or the whoever it is that they're questioning, it doesn't make them uncomfortable. So you look like, for example, Chip Roy, and you've got Kennedy, right?
Yep.
I love Kennedy out of Louisiana.
Oh my gosh.
He comes hard at it. There are still some good men and women in Congress and the Senate. There's not very many. I'm going to be honest with you. McCarthy is not one of them. But when you have consistency where they're sitting on their hands and they hold hearing after hearing after hearing after hearing after hearing, so on, and push month after month, nothing gets done.
Yeah.
That is a signal to you, the American people, to say these people are not in the best interest of you. There's so much evidence right now that we have that major charges could be brought against Mayorkas and the whole Biden administration.
You got that right. 100%.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I don't know what the hell they're waiting for, quite frankly. You know, there's enough evidence. There's enough documentation. I've personally seen some of this stuff. These guys could be held up on a couple things. Charges against humanity. They've breached international law, even though, you know, everyone thinks of sovereignty. We do have treaties, the Geneva Convention and things like that. So crimes against humanities is one of those. The death count at the border alone is enough. Children, women being raped and murdered, and organs. We have the proof. Drugs, fentanyl, killing our own children. This is all crimes against humanity too. These are treasonous charges against the United States of America. When you are knowingly aiding and abetting terrorists to come into your country, knowingly aiding and abetting trans criminal organizations to inflict harm on legal American citizens, when you are allowing the influx of over 15 to 18 million illegals just in 2 years alone to come into the border to what? Rape. Some of these people are raping. Let's just talk about the financial impact alone. Where is it in our Constitution that our tax or any of our taxpaying dollars should be going to housing any illegals, giving them driver's license, letting them have work visas? None of this is legal, by the way.
Correct.
Under Title 8 is very clear how you come into the United States of America. You cannot also make a phone call to Border Patrol agents, tell them to cut the barbed wire and allow them in. This is all illegal activity.
Correct.
That alone, that is treasonous against the state of America, including all the way up to the highest levels of the land. Men and women with backbone to go against this. However, I will have to say this. If you go to my website or Facebook or any of my social media platforms, please follow us. We put out videos all the time. There was an internal leak of a Border Patrol internal meeting, and they had enough. They're questioning, this is against the Constitution. And the leaders are yelling at them because they're given orders and they're okay with this invasion. And make no mistake, this is an invasion into a sovereign nation. Those Venezuelans that you're seeing coming over the border, make no mistake, they're not Venezuelans, all of them. They are Hezbollah. They are Iran's Revolutionary Guard. I've told you guys before. We have the proof and the evidence, including our own federal agencies, know for a fact that Iran flies in terrorists into Venezuela, into Caracas. Then the Venezuelan government under Maduro, because they have a cozy relationship and a treaty together, that they give Iran's Revolutionary Guard and Hezbollah and terrorists proper documentation to state that they're Venezuelan citizens. So there's no way to track them. Once they come over they can show their legal Venezuelan documents, claim asylum, and come over into the United States of America. Make no mistake, we are going to see very soon terrorist activity and terrorist attacks on our soil. I just got intel yesterday that our internal agencies, we call it LETAC or law enforcement officers in these divisions, they are having mass casualty and mass terrorist training right now going on. They've upped the training, they've upped the urgency. When you hear that internal chatter, you know that something's imminent. Hospital systems, they put hospital systems for the last 9 months on high alert. They're having drills of mass casualty, nuclear fallout. Do you understand?
Yeah.
That's going on right now across this nation. You're not hearing about it in any news organizations or media.
You aren't.
I'm telling you right now, you don't take my word for it. I want you to go search how many drills hospitals have had. Houston, look up Houston hospital systems.
Yeah.
You need to start opening up your eyes. You better open up your ears, because America, you are going to feel the wrath of all of these open border policies at your front door very soon.
If not some already in smaller ways.
You're already seeing it.
Yeah. The crime rate, you name it. But so this is on a much larger level. Jim, do you got something you want to ask? Because I've got 1,000 more.
Well, Christie, one of the things we've been talking about on here is we talk about, you know, the and I want to be careful but the politicians will sit there and talk about they're killing our children. They're killing, and not just children, but they're killing people who use the illegal drugs where fentanyl's coming across the border. And then we see New York right now. Governor Hochul's complaining now that they've become a sanctuary state, but now they're complaining because they're a sanctuary state. But this is all, we keep trying to find out something's going on, right? I mean, and it's not because, well, these people want to come over for a better life, because we talk about our homeless veterans that are on the streets that we don't seem to want to take care of them, right? Or I should say the government doesn't seem to want to take care of them. We have our own issues here. So we're letting other people come into this country who is going to start, you know, they're not, you know, they're going to need help. They're going to need help. They're going to need assistance. So again, so now we look into this, there has to be something. And Dale and I, when we talk about, we believe that a lot of this situation it's hiding the human trafficking that's going on, and people at a high level are involved in it, or how else does this continue to go on? Because you would think that the easiest thing to do was to confirm our laws, right? To make sure that our laws are followed, and put a dang wall on the border. Make them, you're welcome to come in, but here's how you're going to come in. And so do you believe, and if you can, I mean, for what you can tell us, is how high does this go?
Well, I mean, guys, just island. You know, Epstein, that was just one manifesto of all of those individuals. Not everybody on that list who went to that island, probably, but I don't know. I mean, you know, human trafficking, child trafficking, sex trafficking, organ trafficking, all of this is big, big business and big money.
Billions.
Okay? So whenever I look at anything, whether it's the war in Ukraine, which we'll get into as well,
yes,
this is all money laundering. And I want America to understand this. This is all money laundering. How do things get funded? They have to, there's legitimate funding sources, right? Through taxpayers, through sending money over to foreign entities, or to giving it to charities, NGOs. This is all money laundering, by the way. Okay.
Yep.
Everybody gets padded. I'll give you an example of money laundering, how this works, and how bribery happens, right? Because it's against the law, right? We got RICO Acts, we got all this stuff.
Yes.
Let me tell you how the government actively engages with money laundering without actually being caught as a money launderer. Okay. So you've got aid that needs to go to Sudan. So you put pallets of cash, say $300 million on a pallet, and it's under the disguise of aid for that country, whether it's for food, shelter, water, fill in the blank. Sounds great, right? By the way, it's all funded by your dollars. You get, your heartstrings are pulled. Look at this disaster. Look at the famine over here. We need to feed this person and do that. In reality, none of your money gets into the hands of anybody, or poverty would be solved by now.
Correct.
Okay? The money that we've thrown into all of this, villages would be prospering. We'd have incredible wells. There would be so much stuff. There would be prosperity going all over the world.
Correct.
Okay. People use this. So what happens is they send it over through the NGOs. Well, it's intercepted by these corrupt governments. For example, I know for a fact there's one African leader right now who is sitting on over $300 million. He confiscated. It's in his personal bank account, and he will not give it back. When asked by one of our heads of our security, he wants more. He's not down. This is how this works. Same thing with NGOs. You asked me, Catholic Charities, just 2 years old, $957 million. This year, it's well over $1 billion. All of these, by the way, funded by you in grant money, everything else, illegals, to feed them, clothe them, give them scooters, give them credit cards, video games, you name it, they're getting it. While our veterans are scrapping on the streets, eating out of garbage cans.
Exactly.
And so they don't give a rat's butt about the American people. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Government is not here to help you. Government is there to help themselves.
Yes.
And so when we understand that, then we can do a mind shift. I always say, stop giving to Red Cross, United Way, any organization that's huge. You need to find the people, the boots on the ground, the mom and pops, like Women Fighting for America or other organizations who are actually physically on the front lines, in the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
Look at their bank accounts. I know if you go on and look at my bank account, there'll be less than, I don't know, $20,000, $15,000 of women fighting for America.
Yeah.
Because I constantly am using that money to fight for this nation and to protect and defend freedom. So you have to understand the money laundering situation. And so human trafficking, it's atrocious, but that's how they fund illegally our governments to take down our own citizens for control.
So it sounds, and as you were talking about it, it sounds like another one of those distractionary fires. Not that it's not happening, and I mean that. I truly believe about, human trafficking, sexual trafficking, all that, drugs, you name it, the whole thing. But that seems to be what they also want you to know, in a way.
Well, focusing in. So I always say this, CRT, LGBTQ, of the elections, all of these things are extremely, extremely important, and they're eroding our freedoms. They're eroding the fabric of our society. But it's not honing in on what the root is and what the bigger overall picture. While we're going and chasing around this, it's keeping us so busy that we're not understanding that our very freedoms and sovereignty are being eroded through executive orders and treaties. And those treaties and executive orders with the United Nations, NATO, and the World Economic. So people ask me all the time, the World Economic Forum is an unelected body.
Correct.
Why do they have so much power?
Well, I'd say it's financial. They have the financial and they have the connections, I would think.
So in 1971, Klaus Schwab decided he was going to formulate the World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
It is not a coincidence that same year we got rid of the gold standard. Okay. So we start thinking about the Rothschilds, and you have to understand all of these players and people behind the scenes that are moving government and moving towards creating the World Economic Forum. They also created NATO, and they also created the United Nations.
Yeah, correct.
So these three, I call it and you've got the IMF. So you have the International Monetary Fund, for people who don't know what IMF stands for. So you've got these triangular organizations. They're the same players who created these, who are also in power in countries all over the world. Some way or another, their families are either married to them. They own the banks. I think there's only 2 or 3 banks left in the world that's not owned by the Rothschilds, by the way. Do you guys know that?
Yeah, I did not know that.
It's very serious. So, it's really, you have to understand your history of why we're where we are today and how we got there. So the World Economic Forum, if you start delving into a lot of the treaties, a lot of the policies, a lot of what the United Nations and NATO are talking about, all coming through the mouth of the World Economic Forum. For example, I'll give you an example, and I'm going to give you guys the documents so you can put this up there.
Okay.
They're now looking at controlling all press, period, around the world. Okay. How are they doing that? You have to look at language, and I'm going to show you these documents. This is from the EU Parliament. I also have the documents from the United Nations and from the World Economic Forum. So the World Economic Forum, they meet Davos, then they have little Davos. They have all of these meetings all over the world, whether it's on climate change, whether it's, you fill in the blank. So out of these, they formulate the narrative or the structure of what laws or what they want to implement, right, into governments around the world. So then you'll see all of a sudden trickle down inside, for example, the EU Parliament. You've got this, I'm going to pull up a picture and then I'll send it to you guys too for all intents and purposes here. So I want you to look at this. This right here document was put on the desk of MEPs. That's the members of European Parliament. Putin loves media exemption, but European citizens don't. So this is Article 17. I'm going to send you the documents on this.
Okay.
So this is about controlling the free press. And it sounds great. They wrap it up into this beautiful little bow. And it sounds like, oh, we're protecting free press. But then you go down, and lawyers love this. Then you see a little word, one little word called unless. So unless this blah, 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 then the journalists can be, by the way, arrested. In this document, you can be arrested, dragged out of your home, your laptop, all your data and information confiscated by who? Big government. By the way, this is actually going on in the United States of America as well. And
so I was going to ask that.
We're pushing this. So In the UN, it's just formulated a little bit prettier package, and I'll share all of those documents with you. So you've got the World Economic Forum pushing down new policies, agendas, more control, more of your freedoms and liberties taken away. They push it down to the United States because you have the Biden administration, you have the Obama administration, you have the Bush administration, and the Clinton administration, and the previous Bush administration were all part of the World Economic Forum. They were all part of this umbrella. The only disruptor was Reagan and Trump in the last 50 years. Okay. So that's why we're where we are. So then you've got these agencies. So I know this is a lot of information, but I really want people to understand, because I'm asked this all the time. They don't understand it on a bigger 30,000 foot view. This is how this happens. So then you've got NATO was formed. NATO was formed to be the International Policing Society, right?
Yeah, correct.
It was. So Canada and all of these other agencies, and I love the fact that they infiltrate into these countries under the disguise of peacekeeping forces. Please keep that in mind. Peacekeepers, peacekeepers. You saw the mayor of Chicago in June use that very language. We're sending in peacekeepers.
Yeah.
They are not peacekeepers.
Yeah.
Okay? You also have the open border systems, both in the free Western world. So America, what's going on at our borders, southern borders and northern borders, with mostly young single adult males of fighting age from all of these different, either Muslim countries, African countries, socialist countries like Venezuela. All of these guys are trained. Most of them are militia. They've been trained.
Yeah.
Okay? You don't know that, but look, I want you to start looking very carefully at what these individuals look like. Okay? Very important. This is going on in England right now. England right now, off the coast of, I think it's Dorset, has a barge. This barge would be brought in for a massive prison system.
Okay.
On that barge, it has now been converted to house who? Young single adult males of fighting age from where? All of these Muslim type countries in Africa, which are breeding that. Look what happened just now last week in Italy. 7,000 from Africa. Who? Mostly young adults. They'll sprinkle some women and children in there, so you think, because it's a psychological warfare. That's
what they show us.
Yeah, they show exact. So yeah, correct.
So America, you are being duped. They're using their psyche. Believe me, the CIA, the FBI, these agencies, they've been perfecting this for decades, right? You think about all the way back after World War II. We brought in the Nazis because they were really good at this. And so those individuals who we didn't either send off to concentration camps, we absorbed their scientists. And so we're seeing the fruit of Nazi Germany, Marxist society into our society. So again, I'm giving you a really quick overview of how we got there. The dangers that we're in right now, Dale and Jim. So I just met with, it was 7 world leaders. From the EU Parliament. Italy, Romania, Croatia, Germany, Ireland. I just came from London and Paris.
Wow.
They are very, very concerned. The policies that are coming out of the EU Parliament is so damning to our freedoms and our liberties that not only the free Western world, but America will not look the same. They are so hopeful that America will actually get it and the American people will wake up, because they understand we are the last red line.
That's true.
And when America falls, the rest of the world will go into
100%.
I don't advocate politicians. I don't advocate for Republican, Democrat, whoever the heck is in the office. But we better wake up and we better replace the government that we have right now peacefully, lawfully, with our Constitution very soon. And we better start holding these politicians and, quite frankly, law enforcement accountable, these agencies accountable. And we can do that. And I'm going to tell you how. At the end of the show, the last 10 minutes I want to spend, and I'm going to tell you exactly what you better do. And I'm not going to hold your hand. I'm so sick and tired of people.
No kidding.
Correct.
They don't act. They hear this and they get, oh, this is great. But you know what? You actually physically still sit on your hands and you do nothing.
It's true. It's very true.
Well, we have this situation in this country that I personally believe that a vast majority of people don't agree with what's going on in our schools. They don't agree with what's going on in politics. They don't agree with what's going on in anything. But then they complain, and then they just go back to their lives, and then they say, oh, it's not going to affect me anyway, so what does it matter? And without you realizing, folks, this is affecting us every which way but loose. That terrible education for our children is affecting us. I mean, because our kids are not able to function once they graduate from high school. Half of them, at the time we graduated, half of those kids would not have graduated.
Correct.
Half the time coming out of those schools. And so it's everybody's sleeping. They're not there. It's just like, that can't happen. Because again, that'll never happen. That won't happen.
Yeah.
And look where we're at.
Yep. It which then, Christie, shocks me, because we all see what's happening at the border. We've all heard the stories. We've seen we've seen politicians that I truly do believe are here to help our country succeed. And then of course we got the ones that just spew crap and you just know that's what they're spewing. And I'll bring it up. I'll say McCarthy, for instance. I've never been a big fan of his. Jim and I weren't a big fan of his, still aren't. So when you say the ability to, and we'll talk about this in the end more, but to me, he is a hindrance to progress to get our country back, because I don't believe he's doing what should be done to bring these types of what I'd say crimes against our country from these politicians or from these government agencies like the FBI and the DOJ and all that. They're not bringing them to the forefront so they can be held responsible and you can replace them. We ourselves can't vote. I can't vote the leader of the FBI in there. I can't vote who became Speaker of the House, So to me, it's just going to have to be such a large change. And I think that's what America has to wake up to, is that, the leaders that are currently in there are not the leaders that are going to save this country. Some are. I'm not talking about them all as in whole. But to be honest with you, I'd have to guess 80% of them have to go, in general, in order to make the large shift that we need.
It's too large.
You see it all the time, Jim and Dale. So, for example, why are they rallying around? If your best interest, because when you're elected to go to the Senate or to the House, right, you're elected to represent your constituency, period, not your personal agenda, not but you're elected to the majority rules, right?
Correct.
So you're elected to go there and serve your constituency, your community.
Correct.
And so the loyalty, and here, let's talk about really quick, and then we'll get into but loyalty. So their loyalty is not to their constituency. Their loyalty is to each other. Yeah. And you see that playing out. For example, Mitch McConnell, I'm really sorry that he's, falling under health, freezing up. It's time for him to go. He's not capable of serving in office.
Correct.
Instead, you see these leaders gathering around them in a press corps, right? And lifting up, he's fine. He's fine. Why? Because they want to maintain control.
Yep, that's right.
It's not about what's in the best interest of the office. It's not what's in the best interest of the people of the United States or their constituency. It's in the best interest to serve themselves.
Yep.
And so they're selfish. They are selfish. They are spoiled. And you know what? They make millions and millions and millions of dollars a year. Correct. Most of these guys came in. Look at what their salary was 20, 30, 15 years ago, whatever, into office, and where they are now. Yep. They do insider trading, which is illegal. Yep. They pad their pockets, they pad their families' pockets, and they're bought and paid for by the globalist elites and the lobbyists. And it's a fact, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And the reason why they don't push back is because a lot of times, I talked about this before, they have dirt on these guys, and they use, by the way, whether it's sex trafficking, they put them in compromising positions. They're whirled in because, people are weak. And instead of standing up here, you know what I would love to see? You know what? I've made major mistakes in my life.
Yep.
Every single one of us, for the most part, has some kind of, we've made mistakes, right? How about this? I would have so much respect for a politician. I don't care what it was that they did. I don't care if they were having an affair, whatever it is, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Why don't you come out, whatever dirt they
Mhm.
have on you, just keep you silent and shut you down and shut you up.
Yeah.
Why don't you just come out and say it and
Mhm.
say, you know what?
I've always said that.
I've made a mistake. I'm sorry. I've learned, but you know what? I'm standing here because I love my country and I love freedom and liberty, and I'm going to sound the whistle because I cannot be blackmailed anymore.
Yep.
Because the next generation is more important than myself.
Mhm.
How powerful would that be?
Exactly. Exactly. I've always said that. If you just come right out front, right out the gate, yeah, of course I smoked weed in college. Whatever the story, right?
Right.
Where there's no dirt, a lot more respect, a lot of people would respect you for that, as is also if you made a mistake while you're in the Senate or in the House or in government. Whether it's a mistake in your mind that, oh, okay, well, I was for abortion because I understood that, but now I'm not, but here's why I switched. To me, I always think that they're being bought and paid for. Whenever they say that stuff, I'm like, okay, some lobbyist paid you, and now this is what your thought process is. And it's just so hard to trust, right? Literally, I trust 80% of the current American citizens before I trust most anybody else in government. I think we're a conservative nation. I honestly do. I think the majority of our nation is conservative. I think the election was a scam. So my point here is, after saying all this crap, this is just on such a larger level that we aren't seeing, that you have seen, and that you know about. Will it also take European nations to change leadership? Will it also take, because are they able to control themselves from people who are also controlling our country and our leaders in our country? So the trickle down of it, I guess, is what I'm saying.
No, you're seeing this. There's a fire that's being spread, this freedom and liberty fire in the European Union. You're seeing, a couple years ago in the MEP at the European Parliament, you had one or two who were fundamentally conservative, freedom-loving individuals, and now that squad, so to speak, is growing. And I met with 8 of them while I was over there in Brussels, and I highly recommend your listeners go and listen to the interviews. I'm going to be playing them this Tuesday. I show on Brighty on TV, on the front lines with Christie Hutcherson, on the front lines with Christie Hutcherson on Brighty on TV. Tuesday at 4:00, you're going to see and hear some of those interviews. This coming Sunday, I'm going to be playing them, and I'm going to give a lot of visuals inside of what's really going on. And so you see the spark. You see people waking up. Why do you think that you're seeing protests in the streets? Because they're fed up. They've had enough. I was just, like I said, over in Europe, and I can tell you right now, food and gas and everyday living is so expensive. And then their housing, again, they're bringing in illegals and they're paying for all of that. Well, it's to take down I've never been to France. This was my Paris anyway. I've been to France, but not Paris. And I was in Paris having some meetings. And I can tell you all of the stories that people tell you about Paris, France, the most beautiful city, all of these things. It was filthy. It was disgusting. And I'm talking, I was in the most expensive area having meetings with these leaders, right? I'm walking down the Champs-Elysees and it is filthy. It is being destroyed because why? They've allowed immigrants from all over the world, instead of assimilating, they are taking over the streets.
Correct.
And so you have filth, you have pee and urine while you're walking down the streets. You're already seeing that mentality here in the United States of America.
Yes.
Look at Portland, Oregon. Look at New York City now. I was just in New York not too long ago. It's disgusting. I'm fortunate because I have to travel with security. And I wouldn't feel safe as a woman walking down these streets.
Correct. Ever.
I'll tell you that right. I'm a pretty tough. I know how to defend myself. Make no mistake. Girls out there, you don't want to mess with me. I might look like, I don't know how to defend myself, and it won't bode well for you. But I'm telling you, I would be concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Alone, could you imagine letting your teenagers or your daughter, your sons walk down these streets? This is where we're at in America.
Yep. Okay.
That's what they want. This is part of the control process.
Mm-hmm.
You have to break down the fabric of society. You have to break down law and order, finances, all of these things to collapse the society within, cause chaos. And then you start implementing, oh my God, we need who? Who needs to come save us? Government
does. That's why. Yep. Always.
The answer. Look what we're gonna give you this. We're gonna give you this. We're gonna help you out over here.
Yep.
And you know what? These 15-minute cities, they are real. We don't need to call them 15-minute cities. As my good friend Christine Anderson, who is a European member for Germany, incredible. By the way, I'm going to bring her over here to the United States of America very soon.
Nice.
Hopefully we'll be able to have a rally with some of these world leaders so you can understand what's going on a global scale.
Good.
She says 15-minute ghettos because that's what they are. There's a city right now in Dubai being built, and it looks beautiful. It's got massive walls. I think it's if they're 15 or 20-foot walls, and it's surrounding this beautiful city, supposedly, and it's going to have gardens and parks and this and that. Well, guess why that's being built? It sounds good. Oh my God, I want to live in this beautiful gated community. How do you control a populace? You confine them in these beautiful
Gated.
little cities.
That's
where
right.
You have a radius of 15 miles, 15 miles, and everything you need is contained within there.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? When you want to go outside of that, they can control you and lock you down. They can control you and lock you down if you try to. Why do you think they're pushing to get rid of your gas-powered vehicles?
Yeah.
Because electric vehicles can be controlled by computer systems.
Sure can.
Why do you think they're going away from the actual physical dollar and they want everything to be on the monetary system?
Control again. They can shut it off anytime.
If you don't vote the way they want you to vote, if you don't do what they want you to do, if you have a different ideology, when they control the press, which, by the way, I'm going to show you the documents why they're doing that. So if you go against their narrative, they can immediately, with the click of a button, boop, you have no way of accessing your funds. You saw it with the Canadian truckers.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Social credit system. So everything you do is based on your ideology. And if you don't fall in line, you will be turned off. And unfortunately, you won't just be canceled. You will not be able to have the things you need to sustain life. And that's food and water, movement, jobs, all of that. That's what's coming, America. And they're slowly, like the boiling frog, sitting in a cold, tepid water, turning up the heat little by little, because you're sleepwalking, just trying to survive, because they have so much being flooded at you that you just are trying to stay above the water. You're just trying to pay your mortgage. You're just trying to get food on the table. That's how they're doing this. And if you don't wake up right now, literally, it's coming. They went from a 2030 agenda to turbocharging. That's the word that the United Nations has been using, turbocharging, to 2025. Well, that's a year and a half.
Yeah.
Deal?
It's a year and a half. And less. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, Christie, that you mentioned President Reagan and President Trump, and so you look at a lot of the different things they did great, right? A lot of the things they did well. What they did do is they kept our enemies at bay. They controlled the enemy. I mean, we defeated our enemies. President Reagan defeated Russia. I mean, just totally defeated them. Trump had China under control. We were getting stronger because they had that sentiment that you stated. A strong America is strong for everybody. Yeah, people are going to hate us because, they're spoiled, they're this, they're that, whatever.
Who cares?
I don't care. You hate us all you want to, but respect us because we're going to be the first ones there to help if something happens, and we're going to be the first ones always to do things. So that's why these presidents were so good, is because they made America first. You have to build, you've got Vivek, whether you like the guy or not, he mentions that we have to work on America first. We have to get America back to where we want to get it, which is what President Trump has been saying since he started running in 2016 when it was stolen from Hillary. So anyway, we have to do this. And so you look at these two individuals, and it's like you made a great point. They made us great because they didn't make our opponents stronger. And that's what we're doing. Look at Russia and China right now.
Oh,
they're gaining power. Even North Korea is gaining power. Why is that? Because America is weaker. And because we're weaker, so is everyone else.
You know, Jim and Dale, I want you to think about, okay, let's even Nixon. Let's go back Kennedy. So they assassinated Kennedy. Our own government assassinated.
Yeah,
100%.
that, right.
Because Kennedy didn't, and Kennedy, by the way, would be, there's not even, I don't even know, there's the Rhino, there's the Uniparty, but he would be considered constitutionalist. Okay, let's
basically, you're right. Absolutely.
Reagan, Trump, Kennedy would be constitutionalists. They'd be the conservative party.
Correct.
America First Party. How about that?
How about that? Yep.
So then you look at Nixon and all these. I want America to start thinking about something right now. What presidents, Republican or Democrat, started wars?
Oh, I know.
All of them, except for who? Kennedy was pulling out.
Yep.
Reagan. Trump. So you think about how the military industrial complex works, how the banking system works, how the globalist elites, these big public-private partnerships with the government agencies all over the globe, how do they make their money? They make it off of what? And how do you destabilize economies? How do you destabilize countries and freedom? Wars.
Always.
War, famine, migration, all are connected. And so from a military strategist perspective, when you start thinking about this, and this is why I want to talk to the independent Democrats out here who are listening to me right now. I want you to understand, I'm not a Republican anymore. Okay. I'm none of them. We need to get rid of the parties altogether.
Correct.
They're corrupt, they're disgusting, they're vile. So I want you to think Reagan, Kennedy, Democrat, Reagan, Trump. Trump was a Democrat, by the way, everybody out there.
Yes. Yep. They always forget that part.
Reagan.
Okay. All of his life, Democrat. So you think about this. These guys wanted to make America stronger, manufacturing jobs here, pull out of wars, not fund the UN, not fund the WEF, not fund the WHO, right?
Yeah.
Put all of our money back into the United States to what? Strengthen our economy, strengthen our country, put America first.
Correct.
Because they understood one thing. And that's why the globalist elites are so freaked out about wanting to not have Trump in office.
Yes.
Because when you have the strength of the United States from the citizens' perspective, from the grassroots up, right? From the grassroots up, that's the way it was supposed to be meant by the founding fathers. We are so we are now the one who are the watchmen, and we are going to be protectors, and we can defend the voiceless and the rest of the world who might succumb under these Marxist globalist elites. And that's what they're afraid of. So you look at the wars. How did all of this stuff get funded? Well, big banks get funded. The globalists, the Rothschilds, they all make tons of money. By wars.
Contractors, you name it.
I was a contractor. Trust me, really good money.
It's good money and more.
It's good money. And most people don't know that most contractors more contractors die in conflict than our own soldiers do, but they just don't report those numbers.
For sure.
Because the contractors on the ground typically. So when you look at this whole plot, right? This scheme, the plot to take down and have the one world system. The only way the one world system works is if America is no longer the superpower. And I want everybody to remember a conversation, a hot mic moment with Obama. And he looked at he said, I want you to tell Putin I have more flexibility after the election.
After the election.
Biden is a puppet of China. China and Russia are working together and now pulling in little Kim Jong-un.
That's right.
Make no mistake, these have alliances. They might look differently, but they're aligned, right? So if Biden's administration is aligned with China and China's are aligned with Russia, make no mistake, our government behind the scenes, they're aligned together.
Yes.
So they want to make you think Putin's the bad guy, Zelensky is the good guy. They're all the same. Zelensky's just as bad. Zelensky is a puppet. And let me tell you I didn't want to get on this subject, but we'll talk about this really quick.
Sure.
I want you to understand something. I want America to understand the type of weaponry systems and technology we are sending over to Ukraine. We are giving them very serious capabilities. Not only is this a money laundering scheme to funnel back to the globalist elites, including this administration,
Mhm.
we are bolstering weaponry systems and military might in that region of the world. And Zelensky, if you listen to his speeches, how cocky he's becoming.
Oh, sure.
He is a player in this game of
Mhm.
chess, and he's a pawn.
Mhm.
And those weaponry systems in the hands over there can also be utilized against the United States of America.
Of course.
We have to extract our systems out of the United States, give it to those who can then turn around and use it against us. Do you
Mhm.
understand that, America? That's what's going on
Yeah.
under the disguise of we need to protect and defend Ukraine. No, let me tell you what happened in Ukraine. Are you ready for this? I'm going to, just in case none of you guys know this.
Mhm.
The United Nations was given evidence by Putin that the United States of America was actively engaging in 37 plus biotechnology labs and gain of function for military purposes. They have the proof. But do you know who squashed it and decided not to investigate?
Mhm.
Because they want to prop Putin as a propagandist and an evil guy, and he is.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
He is.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's
no
ex-KGB. He's a guy. He's a guy.
They have the information and the goods
Mhm.
on this administration. By the way, that is illegal for us
Yeah.
to be funding gain of function research for military purposes.
Mhm.
Bombshell.
Wow.
Why isn't anybody investigating this? Why isn't our Congress investigating this?
Mhm.
Ask
Well,
yourself that question,
yeah,
America.
I mean, yeah, exactly. And is this taking place is it taking are those is that happening over in Ukraine, or is it happening in other nations besides Ukraine, the whole gain of function testing for military purposes?
It is. We are getting information and intel. We've strategically, we believe, located two other source countries.
Okay.
Where our military is actively engaging in illegal activity. By the way,
Mhm.
this is illegal activity.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are not to.
Oh, no. Correct.
And you know what? I'm going to call it out again. That's why I have 24-hour security around me. I'm going to tell America exactly what's going on.
Mhm.
The Italian prime minister, excuse me, not prime minister, I apologize, strike that.
Mhm.
One of the Italians, who's a European Parliament member of Italy, her and I had a very candid conversation. I'm going to be playing it this Sunday. You need to listen to it.
Okay.
We talk about, I'm talking about right now, that the United Nations, she's in the European Parliament. She's seen the documents.
Mhm.
They know for a fact that this is happening. There's other things that we know now that I can't talk on here. But let me make no mistake, America, you are being lied to on an unprecedented level. This goes very deep. So that's why I get really frustrated when I hear, Dale, people like Juan O'Savin and these people saying that there's a secret military in place. There's not.
Mhm.
Okay? The people who are going to come save the United States of America, the American people. But you know what? You better get off your hands right now.
Yeah.
Because you're being surrounded by the enemy. We have infiltrated into our soil enemy. We have Venezuelans, Iranians, Hezbollah. We have Al-Qaeda. We have soldiers who have been placed by our own government agencies, by this administration, to allow these individuals to take hold and to take root. Because why? They know that we will not give up our guns. Do you want to know why those people are coming over the border? Because they know that Americans will not give up their guns. They've tried every way, shape, form.
Sure have. Still. Yep.
And they will not give up their guns. Well, they need a replacement army, more of them than us. And that is one of the many reasons why they are infiltrating and allowing those borders to continue to be open.
You know, it leads me to, you talked about
Wild.
this. And when we talk about the election in 2024, we keep thinking, what are they going to try now? Because you can't keep doing the same things, because then people, even the idiots out there who we call the minions are going to think, okay, yeah, something's not right here. And so we wondered what they're going to do. What are they going to do? How are they going to do it? Because, they're just not going to let President Trump be president.
Oh, no.
They're going to do whatever they can to stop him.
Yeah.
And so now you gave an insight on and I never even thought that would be an option until now. And now I am more leaning towards that, is they're going to have something that's going to happen in this country where the election's not going to be able to go on.
Mhm.
Similar to what happened during World War II. You know, when federal, we had to keep him in, right? Because you don't want to change a president mid war.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm actually thinking that actually might be what they're doing, because you talk about it. Here we go. It's Trump is against what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
But the minions out there who they get to do their little, you're the way you are because of this person, or we're going to do this or we're going to do that, and totally taking them away from what's really going on. And I just I'm scared. So
and for those people out there who want to, like, all of a sudden, oh my God, she's a MAGA, hate, da 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 da. You know what? You just start thinking for yourself. Pull your thumb out of your what?
Yeah, and we know where.
Thinking honestly for yourself. This isn't about President Trump. For me, as long as you're a constitutionalist and you serve the people and the will of the people, and you're protecting, defending the United States of America, because quite frankly, that's the president's first and foremost role, is to protect the United States. I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat, whatever you want to call yourself.
Doesn't matter.
As long as you're a constitutionalist. Okay. So for me, this isn't about who sits in that office, but I am here to tell you there's going to be numerous events. And I think it's I could be incorrect, but I think it's 6 times in history martial law was enacted because of chaos. There will be chaos in the streets. There will be a whole lot of stuff going to happen because they cannot have him if they don't assassinate him, if they don't arrest him and put him behind bars for all of these bull crap false charges constantly at him, or the chaos event, they'll enact martial law. But when the martial law is activated, here, make no mistake, I believe that's going to be the turning point for those who will snap.
I agree.
And we might have bloodshed in our streets, and I pray to God right now that does not happen.
I do
pray
too.
to God that we can do this without any kind of crazy bloodshed, because that's what they want. They're salivating. They're salivating at their teeth, hoping and praying that we become violent. No, they're the violent ones. You ask yourself this, America, why is it that Antifa and Black Lives Matter were able to murder, because people were murdered? Why were they able to destroy businesses, burn down cities, have violent acts constantly, literally? And none of them were held accountable. But those who walked into the Capitol building, by the way, the doors were unlocked. The police let them in. The police let them in. The Capitol Police opened the doors, unlocked the doors, let them all come in. Why is it that those individuals are behind bars without due process, but those people who actually physically harmed people, burnt down businesses, destroyed neighborhoods, they're allowed to roam free? America, because this is what a Marxist two-tier justice system looks like. This is what they need to have happen. They have to cause this kind of commotion and chaos in the streets and unrest, so you snap, and then they can come in and have complete, utter control over our cities and your neighborhoods.
Under what would be martial law or that type of. See, I think that too, Jim and Christy. I think there's either going to be some sort of martial law event, or I think there's going to be another pandemic created somehow, somewhere.
It's going to be a combo. It's going to be they're going to come at us full on with as much as they possibly can.
Because they have to. Because they have to. Yeah,
they are scared, by the way. They are. I'm going to tell you right. They're not. They're concerned because they understand that they didn't count on people really just digging in to figure out, okay, this is how you actually took the elections. This is what nefarious activity happened. This is what's going on. They didn't count on patriots such as myself and yourself and others going out there sounding the alarm and doing investigative journalism and showing these pictures and showing the research. They didn't count on that. So now they've had to literally up their plans. That's why it's turbocharged. That's the exact word, by the way, the United Nations is using, and World Economic Forum, turbocharged to 2025, because they know their time is drawing close. But I will tell you this. This is what I want to tell your listeners. What can you do?
Please.
I painted a pretty incredibly bleak picture. There's so much more I could talk about right now. And I'll come back on. I want to give hope out there. The hope, there is hope, but the hope only exists if you allow it to take root. And what I mean by that is you are the hope. Do you understand, America? If you sit back and continually just listen to incredible podcasts like this,
Mhm.
if you sit back and just get the information and the data and you collect and become knowledgeable on all of this, but you do nothing, that is why we will fail and
Yep.
fall.
Yep.
The time for you to activate, and there's a couple things you can do to activate. You have to formulate a plan.
Mhm.
Okay, and what do you mean by that? So in the military world, when we go into any kind of conflict or just in general, we're always prepared. You prepare for the worst and you
Mhm.
expect the best.
Yep.
So you have scenarios and you lay out those scenarios. If this trigger point happens, what is the action? If this trigger happens, what is the action? Where do I go? What do I do? Etc. You have to be in like-minded community with each other.
Mhm.
You're going to need to rely on your neighbor. Why do you think one of the reasons why COVID and all of this stuff, it was about pulling you apart, dividing you,
Mhm.
families, friendships, neighborhood, all of that. That's what
Yep.
these little things right here are all about,
Mhm.
keeping you distracted constantly.
Yep.
We have to reverse this. And you have to get to know others in your community who feel the way you do.
Correct.
You're not alone. You need to look at the neighborhood plan maps, have exit points
Mhm.
where you're going to flee to. You need to have a couple safe places. And that's why it's important to be in community with each other, because
Mhm.
you might not have a house or someplace up in the mountains, but one of your neighbors might.
Yeah.
Okay. So Women Fighting for America, along with Kennedy International Logistics and Services. So if you guys really want to have a plan, I can do it for a very low cost.
Mhm.
It does cost us money because I have to pay very,
Right.
very specialized individuals to come in and
Mhm.
train. Even if it's online, we can do an online training. It still costs money, costs time. And so we're not in this for the money. And I get
Mhm.
tired of that. I have to charge you money. You make money, right? I don't take a salary at all.
Mhm.
I have to spend all my money to
Yeah.
save you, quite
Mhm.
frankly,
Yeah.
with a lot of appreciation, but I don't do it for that. I do it because I
Mhm.
love my country. And so we can train you. We can help you formulate that plan. We can help you be in like-minded communities.
Mhm.
We can either do online training or we can come in person. But to do online training, it's about $119 for a several hour session.
Wow.
Make no mistake,
That's not bad.
Very reasonable.
sign up. If you sign up, when you walk away, it's not going to be the most comprehensive plan if we were in person,
Yeah.
but you will be able to secure your neighborhood and you will have the tools you need
Mhm.
to survive.
That's amazing.
If you're really interested in doing a deep dive on
Mhm.
what you really need to do, that's a little bit more costly.
Sure.
That's
Right.
$99 per person, and that's in person. And typically that is a full, sometimes we do it in 2 days, sometimes we do it in a 12-hour day.
Mhm.
But you are hands-on, you will be physically going through some scenarios.
Mhm.
So if you're interested in that, you can reach out to us. I'm not gonna hold your hand.
Mhm.
You want it, you want it. If you don't, you don't. It
Yeah.
takes a minimum number of people, though, to do this because we can't just do it one-on-one.
Yes.
So if you're interested in that, you can email me. You
Yep.
can go to our website. It's right there, WFFA.WIN. That's
Yep.
Whiskey Foxtrot Alpha
Mhm.
.WIN, not .com, WIN,
Yep.
.WIN.
Mhm.
There's an email that you can find on that website. I would normally give it to you, but I want you to work for it.
Right.
Yep.
If
Yep.
you're going to work for it, then that means you really want it.
Correct.
Okay.
Good call.
I don't have a lot of time to waste with individuals who really aren't going to activate because
Mhm.
we have a country to save at this point. And I know that sounds really harsh.
And limited time.
We have limited time.
Mhm.
You're a year and a half, if at best. And that's, by the way, before something happens. You
Yeah.
better get trained real quickly. That's all I'm going
Mhm.
to tell America. Another thing, I'll give free advice right now.
Mhm.
I live in a state where we prepare for hurricanes, right?
Mhm. Yep.
So I'm always have fuel, extra propane, water, food, all of those things. I also have a satellite phone.
Mhm.
Yes, I am a sponsor of this company. I didn't sponsor them until I was paying for it for 3 years
Yeah.
because it works. And
Yeah.
we're going to need to have communications because make no mistake, they are going to shut down our communications.
Mhm.
This isn't always going to work.
Nope.
You need to have a satellite.
Yeah.
On our website, again, go to Women Fighting for America. You'll see and you'll get a really good discount and you'll
Mhm.
get freebies and stuff like that if you go and you use my code WFFA.
Yeah.
Same thing with mobile phones. I have about 6 affiliates that I've vetted. That's where I get some of my supplies. That's where I get a lot of my stuff. I physically use these companies, and so does my security company.
Yep.
So if you're interested in finding out on if you have a little bit more money and you own businesses and you really want a serious plan, Kennedy International Logistics and Services. Write this down right now.
All right.
Kennedy International Logistics and Services. You can search them on the web. They do everything on an international scale. They are next freaking level.
Wow.
And they can protect your businesses, your homes. If you have a lot of, they even protect personal clients' children and have plans for extraction and stuff. So
Wow.
they do everything from the low level all the way up to the next level. They are incredible. Kennedy International Logistics and
Services.
So go to our website, Women Fighting for America. Email us if you want to find information about anything I've talked about today.
Yep.
Kennedy International, our stuff, our training. You fill in the blank. You send me an email, and we will get back with you, and we will activate you.
And they will get back with you. Very responsive. You all are. So that is the truth. That's for sure.
Why we push donating to you a lot on our show.
Oh my gosh.
Every episode we donate, go out there, donate, because
help, call, email, do whatever,
because we do our research. and we, because it's like we don't listen to this. So when we got a person that sells t-shirts that we brought all the time, and he doesn't pay us anything because we know he's a patriot, and we just want to make sure you're the same way. We know you're legit. We know you're not out there just trying to scare people. And so, this is good. But what I've been doing, Christie, I've actually been talking to people about, if you've got a little extra money, buy a box of, buy an emergency box with food and all of that stuff, just in case, because, I don't want to be that one person that sits there and I don't have anything to feed my family because there's no groceries, everything's down. And I know everyone thinks, oh, doomsday, preppers and stuff like that. No,
my Lord,
this is not what it is. There's something going on. There's something happening. And like you said, leaving the borders open, what's going on? And the people that are coming in, you see these pictures, you see the AOCs crying at the chains because kids are chained up and caged and everything. But what they're not showing you is these single young adults that are coming through. Most of them are those.
AOC cry about anything. Where's her outrage that the Biden administration is housing, 5,000 unaccompanied children in Walmart, abandoned Walmarts in deplorable conditions. Where is her outrage and her tears and the Me Too movement's tears of over 87,000 UACs who went missing under our government's watchful eye? Where are the tears of these individuals, of all of the children in Hawaii who are missing? It's all a false narrative. They're great actors, aren't they? They should win Oscars.
Yeah, really.
They really don't give a rat's butt about any of these causes at all.
No, they don't.
Just frustrates their agenda and their philosophy and their ideology, and that's a Marxist communist regime.
Exactly. Christie, we didn't even get into, so you got to come back. We didn't even get into the whole climate change thing.
Oh,
right?
We didn't.
We didn't. I know. Isn't it crazy?
Well,
I'll just end with it. Let me tell you something. Climate change is also part of this whole wheel.
Yeah. We figured that.
Migration. The climate change, really quick, because we do need to come back really quickly.
Okay. No, take your time.
Because climate change is the catalyst that they're using to control every facet of your life. Everything, you're going to start hearing a lot of chatter coming out about natural capital. Natural capital is controlling everything under the atmosphere of the earth, including the water supply systems and the food supply systems.
Okay.
So how are they doing that? You're starting to see your shelves become a little more scarce. They're just kind of like being marketing geniuses. They're kind of spreading things out where it doesn't look like things are being more empty. But make no mistake, that's happening. Why is that happening? It's not because we have supply shortages, because they're activating their climate neutral agenda and saying that these container ships can't come through the Panama Canal because of drought. Baloney. They can pump freaking water from the Pacific Ocean into the Panama Canal. I don't know about you. The last time I checked, there's plenty of water in the Pacific.
I think so. I think it's still there, you know, and if the sea levels are rising so much, well, this will help lower it, won't it?
Well, we also, we call that erosion as well.
Climate narrative is all about pushing you into a 15-minute ghetto. And it's all about controlling again. And one of the things that they're really targeting, which really is concerning, and I do want to come back probably in the next week and a half, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe next.
Absolutely.
We need to talk, and what I'll do is I'm going to send you some maps and information so we can have it up on the screen.
Good.
Maybe we'll go live with.
Yeah,
this.
maybe. Let's do that.
Yeah,
And
we can.
so,
That gives us
because
time.
it's really important to understand that this climate hoax, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
It really is. I love the planet. I'm a hunter. I love the planet. I
Sure.
want to our planet. But it's arrogant for us to think that we even are a boil on a blimp of affecting climate change. And by the way, CO2 is really imperative and critical factor to have for growth of vegetation.
It sure is.
So this is all, and I can show you the real science behind. I can tell you the scientists who aren't being paid by government and by big agencies to give this false narrative. Follow the money, folks. This is how you do it. All of the organizations who are spewing climate change and giving these numbers, I want you to see who's funding them. That should tell you everything you know, and who, by the way, is connected to those organizations through climate change agendas and policies. What corporations and companies are making billions of dollars and being funded to do this. It's all about, again, control, money, all of that. Big business. So
I'd say everybody under the BlackRock umbrella, you know, if you ask me.
Rothschild, BlackRock, you name
Vanguard,
it.
which is under BlackRock anyways. Yeah, they're all unbelievable.
The globalist elites were so concerned about climate change. And what was the new narrative? I just heard something come out. They're scaring the crap pants off everybody at the United Nations at the COP summit. That's also, by the way, coming up. We are going to be, the seas will be boiling. It was like this doomsday thing, right? Well, ask him, what did he fly in on?
Yeah, I know.
We do that.
I know the hypocrisy is.
They're so concerned and they're so freaked out and so scared that everything's going to end. Ask him how many homes they own, how many cars they have,
how many yachts,
how many yachts they own, and how many private jets do they fly around, whether they own them or not. I love Carrie.
I do too. Well, we don't own it. You know.
I can't lease one.
You ask all of these people pushing, all of these corporations pushing climate change, all of these leaders pushing climate change. You ask them those questions. They're full of shit.
Yep, that's right. 100%. No language excuse. That's full of shit is right.
All the time. The reason why we think this is such a joke is I told the story of when I landed in San Francisco, and I see this kiosk where if you felt guilty about your carbon footprint, that you just donate money for us to erase this.
Erase it.
You can't erase it. It happened. So you're given. That's why I think it's a scam and it's a hoax. And you know, you got your minions that are they're gonna be there. They're always gonna do this. They're gonna be the ones protesting, standing in front of cars, and our world's gonna die. Our world's gonna explode. It's the ones that you reach out to that are just the ones who are ignoring it or being lazy right now. Those are the ones that need to come out. Then there's 20% of these idiots out there are going to be ignored, and they're not going to be paid attention to because the rest of us are going to say, no, not going to.
Well, it's like standing up for your country. It's going to take every true patriot and citizen to do so, instead of just sitting here listening to us, talk back and forth,
which would be great to do.
But
old-fashioned common sense. People, you need to start. These phones and this now generation and instant media, it's all propaganda. It's all to push a narrative. It's all to give you instant sound bites so you can have in your brain instead of you actually thinking for yourself. It's not a coincidence that news media outlets are more opinions than they are actual just hardcore fact. Here's the news. Here's this side. Here's this side. Now you decide.
You guys decide. Nope.
Way, that ability, they decide for you. And you've seen that decade after decade after decade. Now we are where we are, including the climate change hoax about this narrative. And I don't care. I can upset all the people in the world. All of those people right now, you greenies out there, I want you to sit back. You can be mad and you can get ticked off, but then I want you to calm down. I want you to take a freaking deep breath. And I want you to follow the money, follow these individuals that you worship and idolize who are pushing this green movement. And I want you to see truly, really with your eyes and your ears what they're actually doing.
Exactly.
And then you come back to me and you talk to me about whether or not you feel like you've maybe been fooled, because you have. I just say it.
And that goes along with everything. If you'd have followed the money and the Black Lives Matter movement, if you'd have followed the money, I mean, it always is the case, on that.
Well, it's like the black community. Every 2 to 4 years, they want you to show up. They don't care about you. They don't care about you all the way through, but they care about you those 2 to 4 years. And a lot of them fall for it. And that's why everything is the way it is, because they don't do anything about it. They just want your vote.
Don't do the research.
Well, in Marxist history, they always pick a vulnerable community, right? Whether it's the Black community. Well, right now they're honing in on the LGBTQ community. Right. It's a hot button, so that can be utilized as a division tactic, right? So that's what they have to do. They have to divide. America, please wake up. You know what? Go get a couple really good Marxist books. There's some books out there.
Sure.
You need to understand the playbook. You have to understand your enemy's way of thinking. Then you will have this incredible moment of clarity if you do. Read the other side's playbook and you're like, holy moly, we've been just duped. Because what they do is they hone in on your emotions, right? Because you get emotional about these issues. Well, they're being persecuted. They're this, they're that. All the while they're supporting the Muslim community. By the way, do you know that they literally take gay people and throw them off the roof?
Of course. Yes, 100%.
It's all baloney. It's all to keep you where they need you to be, so you don't think for yourselves. It's about division. It's about taking down the fabric of society so they can usher in what they need to have done.
Exactly.
And truth be told,
we cannot fall for this anymore, America. It is now up to you. The world literally is right here in the palm of your hands, America.
And you got to take action now.
What you do with it. What are you going to do with it?
Exactly.
So I've given you some solutions that you can do. I'm not going to put your hand. I'm not going to beg you. I have a plan. My family has a plan. We will be okay. I just want to make sure you're okay, because we need to secure masses of us to secure freedom and liberty for the next generation. So
100%.
Please, Fighting for America, Women Fighting for America. You can search it, wffa.win. You need to contact us if you're interested in anything that I'm talking to you about. If you have questions, I'll try to get back to you. We need your time, your talents, and your treasures to fight back the tyranny that's imminent, and it is an imminent threat.
Good place to end it. Christie, you have to, yes, we will be back within the next couple weeks, and we will go into even more detail. In the meantime, God bless you. God bless this country. Support Women Fighting for America, WFFA.win, WIN.win. Please support them. You are doing more for this country than 99% of the people out there. And we need to join the fight. We need to help. She needs to support. Our country needs us now, right now. No time to wait. Christie, thank you again for coming on. Thank you for all of the information. So much more to talk about. That's why we'll get together in a couple of weeks and we'll continue this. And we'll continue it as long as it takes to make sure that we save this wonderful republic of ours. So until then, Christie, thank you. And we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.